Synthaholics.
Traditional Dune story. We tell it the traditional way.
The traditional way. It's the only way to do it.
That's the only way we tell the story traditionally, with Parmesan cheese, a little tomato,
Some manwich.
suspenders,
Oh, it's all the suspenders.
wax mustache.
How big is this saddle gonna be?
Big enough for two people. You and me, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Synthaholics. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. Today you have myself, Aaron O'Brien, and Dave Duncan. Dave, how you doing?
Man, riding a worm chafes.
So, Dave, we are on chapter 40 and 41 of Dune. We are rapidly coming to a close on our Dune book review. Rapidly.
Yeah. It's crazy because it doesn't feel like it's coming to an end yet. I'm even further
Fast
ahead.
as Paul Atreides is riding a sandworm our direction.
Ooh, those things
Full
go
of
fast
revenge.
by all accounts. Apparently,
Apparently, yeah. I guess they're so big. It'd be
the fastest
hard
mode
to
of
imagine.
travel on Arrakis.
That's a big steed you got there.
Oh yeah,
So
it's hung like a worm.
So, Dave, we start off, we're on chapter 40 here, and Paul ate a lot of spice. And instead of indigestion, he is like back and forth through time. He's sometimes getting confused the future with the past and the present.
Mom, why do you look like Chani?
Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of things like, and it's funny because Frank Herbert is basically plotting out his next book in this chapter with some of the characters.
Yeah.
So he talks about Leto II, his son, that Chani has, and then he's like, oh, is that yet to happen? Did that even happen yet?
Is my son a worm yet?
Yeah, and then and then he talks about his sister Alia, the strange one, and how they move south during this whole thing because they moved their whole siege, their tribe. They moved south, and he's just going back and forth in his head and all the things that it's just a big scrambled mess.
We moved south in the wintertime to escape the extreme cold of the desert heat.
They're snowbirds.
Yes.
It's
Florida time.
Florida time. At some point, he says he's thinking about Chani, about that he's thinking about a time when she killed some guy who came to challenge Paul, and because Paul's the big Muad'Dib, the guy, and
The big mouse, hung like a mouse.
She kills him, and she goes, basically said, I figured if I kill him, then less people will show up to try to challenge you because they're like, oh, his woman will just show up and kill you. I kill you instead. You won't even get a chance to fight Muad'Dib. His woman will just kill you right off the bat. So, hey, not a bad wife to have.
Man, assassination wife. Man, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Ask your wife if she'll kill for you.
Anyone who challenges my man, I kill you.
I know my wife won't kill for me. She'd probably just kill me. So that's probably how it goes.
That's close, right? Isn't that going
so
on?
many years of marriage? Yeah. So many years of marriage, she'll just be like, yeah, I'll kill you instead. So Paul's kind of then he's coming out of it, and then he realizes he's in his still tent with Chani, And they both wake up and they start putting their suits on. And Paul then remembers he's there to, for the first time, mount a worm.
Ooh.
That's his job. Yeah, it's his job. So this is serious business for the Fremen. You don't just... You can't be part of the Fremen tribe, and a man part of the Fremen tribe, and not mount a worm. So this is like thing. I guess most do it at 12, and he's now 18 years old. It's been a couple of years since so it's been some years. So now he's well past the age. So him and Chani have a little banter back and forth about. She's trying to take his mind off him. Tell me of your home, your home waters, or the waters that back in your home. And he's...
Do you guys not pee here?
No, we pee out our pants, and then we drink it.
They've never seen their own piss because they just piss into their suits.
I remember Frank Herbert just like, basically, I want to invent pants you pee in, and then you can drink that pee. That was his thought.
It was his life's work, and it never came to pass.
Someday it will. But yeah, so, she's trying to, she knows he's nervous because, it's like one of those things where, I guess he's done it with somebody before. Like he's mounted a worm with somebody, but he's never done it by himself.
He was riding in the backseat of a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, right. So, and then they get in a whole talk about his sister, Alia, and that people think that she's weird, and he's like, she's like, let's not talk about this.
She's only 2.5 years old, and she speaks
has
like
the
a
wisdom
regular
of 12 grandmothers.
She talks about her period, even though she's still many years away from having it.
Yeah. So she, so they're going back and forth. So then we get Stilgar shows up, and Chani has to vamoose, and Stilgar is basically like. He talks very formally with Paul, using some old jargon from the Fremen, but then he kind of leans in and says, just remember, don't get too crazy. Don't do anything rash. Just take your, just all you got to do is do what I've shown you and what you've done before, seen other people do, and just get on the worm, and that's all you have to do. Don't do anything nuts. Just, So he gives them a couple tips, technique-wise, on how to do it. Basically, use your cloak to make yourself look like a sand dune so the worm doesn't go after you, and then that's when you just jump onto the worm when he gets by you. So
give it some worm hooks. Hookworms. Oh yeah, it's like you hook the worm instead of the worm hooking you.
So he says you have to get the hooks. Yeah, and one of the Fremen named Shishakli. I don't even know how to say it correctly. Shackley. Is it Shackley? I don't think it's Shackley. Shishakli. Anyways, it's a weird name. Has hooks, and he was like, when he goes to this Fremen, Shishakli, basically, it says these are my hooks. They're good hooks. And Paul's like, I'll take those. Thank you.
I'm the best hooker that ever was.
And Paul has a thumper that was given to him by Stilgar, and he says it's a really good thumper. It's going to do good for you. So, and then he sees that the worm is heading his direction, and then we just kind of we don't get to resolve that. Just that a worm is coming his direction, and then we get to the next chapter, chapter 41, and this has to do with mostly Jessica, but Jessica's got her mind on her son Paul, and she knows that he's taking the test now to ride the worm.
To become a Fremen man for realsies.
So during this time, she keeps on vacillating. So she's thinking about other things. She's thinking about her home and this new siege that they've set up, and just the adjustments they've had to make. And then she thinks about the Harkonnens and the attacks that they've gone through. And then she also goes off to thinking about this baby being born with one of the women in the siege that she knows that she's going to have her baby any minute. So, but she keeps on coming back to Paul, and then someone gives her a cup of spiced coffee, and so she starts drinking that.
I can get high as I want now that my baby's out of me.
My baby's out of me. And it's weird because then she has a thought I don't even have to worry here that somebody would just poison my coffee. I can just drink this. I don't have to worry. So
I'm the new Reverend Mother. I am like the best. I'm the greatest Reverend Mother there ever was. My hands, the greatest.
Mic drop. So then Hara and Alia show up. Alia was apparently supposed to be there at the party for this child's birth, and Hara comes in with Alia, and Hara's very upset. Now, Hara, if you recall from I think a chapter or two ago, was or actually 3 chapters ago, was Jameis's wife. Yeah, when Paul killed Jameis, he took on Hara and her 2 sons as like a servant.
Yay!
So not his wife. She's like, I'm still young. She doesn't sound this young in this chapter. They kind of said that she looks a little bit like a witch.
I mean, like, it doesn't take long to look like Shadid Mapes on Arrakis.
I guess, like, the desert just wrecks you. Like Chani in like 3 more years will look like a 50-year-old woman.
Well, think about it. In episode 3 of Star Wars, you had Uncle Ben, Aunt Beru, who were like fine, young-looking people. You know, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, not that old-looking. In like 10 years, they've aged like 60 years. Just look at him between episode 3 and episode 4. The desert does bad things to you. The desert is harsh.
It just dries you right up. You just turn to an old person immediately. Raisin. Yeah, California raisin. Yeah. So anyway, so Hara is upset with Alia because apparently when the baby was being born, she went into the delivery room and the baby was crying, and I guess the Fremen say when the baby's born, he's supposed to cry. He gets all his tears out because after that, there's no more crying.
After that, you can not give any more water to the world.
Oh my God, I wish that was true. Anyways, so
you should raise all your children as Fremen. No crying.
I know.
Fremen don't do that.
You don't get any water after this, so fucking stop your crying. Alia was interested in the baby, and she goes in and she sees the baby's crying, so she touches the baby, and the baby stops crying immediately, and she has some kind of connection with the baby. Oh, I just want to back up real quick, too. It was a weird thing about the spice coffee. We talked about her like saying, I don't have to worry about being poisoned here. Remember that? Mm-hmm. She also mentions this really weird thing. I thought it was interesting. She goes, let me just find the part here. She's talking about getting the spiced coffee, and she said she drained the cup, feeling the energy lift its contents hot and delicious, and she wondered in what other size she could have such a natural regard for privacy and comfort that the giver would intrude only enough to deposit the gift and not inflict with the donor. Respect, love that sent the gift, with a slight tinge of fear, so they're a little bit scared of her. But then this is another element of the incident forced itself into her awareness. She had thought about coffee just before this, so she had thought of coffee, and it had appeared. There was nothing of telepathy here, she knew. It was the Tao, the oneness of the Siege community, the compensation from a subtle poison of the spice diet they shared. The great mass of people could never hope to attain enlightenment. The spice seed brought her, and they had not been trained and prepared for it. Their minds rejected what they could not understand or encompass. Still, they felt they reacted sometimes like a single organism. And she had thought of consciousness. She thought of conscious never entered their minds. So there's an interesting thought there. Just a moment, if I could just, before we get into Alia and what she did with the baby. The spice, even though an average Fremen isn't a Kwisatz or Alia for that matter, they are privy sometimes to like really crazy mind-altering experiences, and they just try not to think about it because it's just too much for their brains to take. Mm-hmm. And so she says, like, I thought of wanting coffee, spiced coffee, and it was given to me. So the spice somehow interweaves them mentally somehow.
It's nanites.
Yeah,
They're Borg nanites. She's the queen because she's the Kwisatz Haderach. I mean, she's a Reverend Mother.
She's Reverend Mother,
and so
I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting thought. I never picked up on that before, and I was like, wow, that's really crazy.
That is kind of crazy. But the thing is, we don't know all the facts of what happened with the previous Reverend Mother, and she basically assimilated, took over like all the thoughts and the life of the previous Reverend Mother and the previous one. Almost like a Trill, like. She just took over the life. So maybe there's some latent skill or whatever in the previous Reverend Mother that kind of was more in tune with the spice telepathy. Even though that wasn't telepathy, but the spice oneness. That
and remember, she said it's not telepathy. But somehow they sense things with each other now. So because the hand just remember if the coffee was brought in, it was just literally deposited in the table right in front of her. They didn't even enter the room. They just kind of a hand just went through the little parting the blankets or whatever not blankets, but the carpets they have dividing their little sections where they stay. It's just a hand slipped through. There's coffee and then just left.
But also you've got the spice orgy, which ended book 2, going into book 3, where everyone was in everyone else's thoughts.
True. Yeah.
So I mean, he's saying it's not telepathy, but it's kind of telepathy. Because I don't think he differentiated saying that was telepathy and this isn't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, it's just weird spice oneness.
It's
very Borgish.
Very. It's somehow it interweaves their consciousness together.
Because the Borg weren't telepathic either in Star Trek. I mean,
that's technology doing it.
That's technology, but everything in Dune is replaced with drugs.
Yes, exactly. Very, very much so. So let's get back to Hara and Alia. So, like you said, Alia went to go see the baby. The child was. So, anyways, Alia has been a problem with the people of the tribe and the Siege. Basically, the child, it says here, a little more than a toddler, carried herself with a calmness and awareness beyond her years. Adults were shocked to find her laughing at the subtle play of words between the sexes, or that they catch themselves listening to her half-lisp voice, still blurred as it was by an uninformed soft palate, and discover in her words a sly remarks that only could be based on experience no 2-year-old could ever encounter. So the whole tribe, there's a account earlier that some ladies came and said that she was a witch or something like that.
Burn the witches!
It's you can't have a witch set before you or within your midst or something like that. And she's like,
Orange
she's not
Catholic
a witch.
Bible quoting.
Yeah, the Orange is the New Black Bible.
Yeah.
So Jessica's always there to kind of take obviously Alia's side because she knows, and we get a really clear understanding of what happened with Alia now, even though she's like we said about 2 years old, but she talks like an adult. Anyway, so Hara's upset that she came in, she touched the baby, and the baby stopped crying. And Hara, actually, Alia makes uses a reference to Hara, saying she's a Ganman, which is a subtleties of the Fremen tongue. The word meant something acquired in battle, with the undertone of something no longer used for its original purpose. An ornament, a spearhead used as a curtain weight. So basically, that's what he called her. So she's
because she knows Paul doesn't want to bone her.
Yeah, she's a spoil of Paul's conquest, and he doesn't have any use for her. So. Wow. And how Hara scolds, "Don't try to insult me, child. I know my place."
Man, I do not want to get roasted by a 2-year-old.
Oh, it must be. I mean, think about it. Think of any matriarch of your family, like a grandmother or anybody who's just a sharp wit or just the wisdom, and then roll about whatever, 100 of those into her consciousness.
And then make her
Maybe
two.
thousands.
And then, like,
and then
you
make
get
her two.
the ultimate burning machine.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so with the baby, he said, basically he was saying, since she didn't hurt the baby, he was trying to settle him down. But, yeah, so basically she just like freaked out the parents that the baby would just stop crying like that. So anyways, and she said something else that the boy looks just like the son of Mithar born before the parting, and like Jessica's like, Aaliyah, he's like, I warned you about talking about stuff. So Aaliyah's talking about things that she shouldn't even know, but she's dialing in the consciousness. So Hara starts going into is like, look, I'm gonna level with you. Like, I cared for Aaliyah, as a baby, and I cared for her and was there for her, and I know all about her, but the tribe doesn't understand her, and she's doing all this stuff, and it's really freaking people out. And I'm just telling you, just as a warning, And then what Jessica explains is that when obviously we know the story that she drank the life of water, and all the memories of the Bene Gesserit went not just to her but into the womb of Aaliyah, and Aaliyah was tangled with all these consciousness of all these other Reverend Mothers from all the years past, all these past generations. She's a baby. She has no way to understand any of that. And she had to like find her own consciousness through all of that.
That's a lot of work for a 2-year-old.
A newborn, like literally, unborn child. She had to come up. She had to figure that out. And she said the only thing that I could feel was, because I didn't understand language at that point. I didn't know like who my mother was, but I knew she was there and she was loving me and she was there for me, and that's all I knew. So. It's a staggering thought of creation for a child.
Yeah, it's pretty cracked out. Like, Frank Herbert had some really crazy ideas.
Yeah, this is probably, I mean, there's a lot of crazy ideas in this book alone, but for Aaliyah, that character alone, that is insane story.
Probably the craziest thing.
That's an insane origin story.
Yeah, it's probably the insanest thing in this book. Probably. Would you say so?
It's up there, man. It's like like when you're talking about origin stories, like, and the way she describes it too is literally just, it's almost a little late. I think she even starts crying about it because she's like, it was traumatic. Yeah. Jessica says it was a cruel thing. Jessica said. No being should wake into consciousness like this. The wonder of it is that you could accept all that happened to you. And Aaliyah says, I couldn't do anything else. I didn't know how to reject or hide my consciousness or shut it off, or everything just happened. Everything.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. And Hara said, we didn't know. We gave your mother the water to change. We didn't know you existed within her. And then she goes, don't be sad about it, Hara, Aaliyah said. I shouldn't feel sorry for myself. After all, there's cause for happiness here. I'm a Reverend Mother. The tribe has 2 Reverend... And then she broke off because she started listening, and something else is going on with the tribe. So she's already saying she's also another Reverend Mother, even though she's 2 years old.
2 for 1.
During this, what's her name? Tharthar, one of Stilgar's wives, comes and she wants to talk to Jessica about Paul's test. She seems pretty upset. So basically, she says, should Paul pass the test of riding the worm, the men in the siege will want Paul to challenge Stilgar for leadership and kill Stilgar. If he doesn't, then they'll just like say, he's a big idiot. So Elias suggests that maybe that she goes with Tharthar and talks to the men and see if there's another way to work around this. So they're kind of use Alia as like maybe a mole because she's smaller. So Hara goes. Jessica and Hara agree that Stilgar shouldn't die. They don't want him to die. So the women are kind of conspiring that this rule is kind of stupid. We shouldn't do this. You shouldn't kill the leader just because they want somebody else to do it. You know.
We gotta get a better idea than this.
Yeah, different transition of power. So Hara is. Also, they talk real quickly about. It's funny because they start talking about. Hara is talking about the jealousy of not being Paul's, woman, and she's like, Chani is probably okay with Paul because I know Chani is not who you would have picked, Jessica. And Jessica's like, "What? I like Chani. She's great." And
no,
she's like,
don't.
"Yeah, but is she royalty? And if Paul's going to marry a nobility, And he says what's crazy is Chani's loves Paul that much that she just might go through with that. And then she says somebody should clean your carpets. And then she leaves.
I don't know. She's got this thing like, but I mean, like, does being a Bene Gesserit make you royalty? I don't think so.
Important person. You're an important person in the tribe.
But she's not royalty. Like the Duke marrying. Like he didn't marry her.
Yeah.
Because he specifically didn't marry her because she wasn't royalty.
Right. Well, she would have been lifted into royalty, but she never was.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't know why she's all stuck up and like, well, Chani's not royalty. Shouldn't she be proud of her son for kind of like doing?
Well, it's weird because she has these like commiserating moments with Hara, and even thinking about Chani, thinking like. She keeps on going back to the thing like, never a wife, just a concubine kind of thing. So that's always on her mind.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just seems weird that she wasn't married, but I mean, it kind of protected her.
Yeah.
Because if they were married, like she would have probably been a harder target. You know what I mean?
I'm sure.
Because I mean, if it was discovered she was pregnant, she would have an heir. I think it makes things a lot. It was kind of to protect her by not marrying her. So I don't know.
In some ways, Leto, it's just said right out at some point that he did marry her to keep himself open to other suitors.
Yeah, but that was also like that was also strategy.
That's total strategy.
Yeah,
political strategy
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the two chapters. What do you think about these two? Any thoughts, insights? Feelings about him?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool getting to see him get ready for the worm riding. Still, guys, like, this is my best thumper. I've never had a better thumper. Take care of this thumper.
The worm ate your thumper. You fucking idiot.
More Dib. You ruined my thumper. No, but like the second chapter is way more interesting with like how Alia's all like cracked out and knows all the stuff she shouldn't know, being a 2-year-old, being a Bene Gesserit, and like I said, like kind of continuing on what I was just saying about Chani, it just seems so weird that Jessica seems so like annoyed with her, even though she's not royalty. I'm just like, you weren't royalty either, lady. I don't know, like. Or maybe she's just worried. I guess she doesn't want Chani to end up like her. But I don't think it's coming out of any place of preservation for Chani. I think she just doesn't like her.
She mentioned more than once that she loves Chani, that she cares for her, but it seems like she was slow to warm to her, kind of thing. Like probably would have been her first pick for Paul, and but. On the flip side, she knows that if Paul's going to be a duke someday again, he's going to have to marry somebody. So it's probably not a good idea to marry Chani and just, she's kind of in the way kind of things.
I guess.
For him to make another ascension into some other house, which... We'll see. Obviously, we know exactly what's going to happen in the future. So, but anyways, actually, the book ends on a line talking about this very subject. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. that she. I mean, I know she says she loves her, but like all her thoughts seem kind of negative toward her, though. I don't know.
It's definitely like, yeah, it's definitely like, oh, it's not. She's not good enough for my son, kind of thing. So
yeah, it's I don't know. Like, and then this is probably why that Paul's saying that my mother's the enemy, because she's going to be like trying to get in the way between me and Chani. Who's gonna bore my son, who will be the real Duke?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
The Super Duke, the wormy Duke,
Super Dukey,
Super Dukey Troopers. How about you? What are your thoughts?
The beginning of the chapter 40, Paul like slipping in and out of time in his spice dream. It seems like a bit of like a fever dream. He's all over the place. Pretty tripped out writing. Stream of consciousness for Paul. Interesting though. Obviously jumping on the worm and getting ready for that. That's anticipation. I thought we'd see more of that in this chapter. I couldn't remember how that worked out. So obviously we don't get to actually see Paul get on the worm yet. So, and then, yeah, like we were talking about Jessica and, the idea of spice and combining people's mentalities or a stream of consciousness all together as one organism is interesting. Also, Alia's a deeper dive into Alia's backstory, which we knew already, but like her perspective of it was interesting. And like we said, really freaked out, cracked out. And then, it's just sort of like, then the women, I like the women like co-conspiring, like we can't let Paul and Stilgar kill each other or try to kill each other.
Don't do it. Yeah. Yeah, that actually works out really interestingly.
Yeah.
And then, and around the time where that works out really interestingly, Jessica's having more bad thoughts about Chani. She's like, all she's good for is bringing him coffee.
Bring him coffee, Chani.
Jessica, you're kind of being a bitch.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what is she supposed to do?
Be mother of his children. Be mother of his little dukelets.
Actually, Chani does a lot for Paul, and he just,
She's his personal assassin. Anyone who crosses me, I cross you harder.
I killed them.
I kill them until they die from it.
So, I don't know. These are interesting kind of like developments. How the tribe works, but also how all the characters are kind of like working with it. And the funny, like the insults and barbs that go between Alia and Hara are kind of funny.
Great. Those are great. Yeah. I don't think these came across it. I don't even think they did this scene in David Lynch's movie. I really hope this is going to be.
Oh no, I don't think even Hara shows up. I know the kids showed up in there.
Alia shows up.
Yeah, Alia shows up at the very end. Yeah.
God, I really hope that they have like all this stuff in the new movie. I mean, since it's going to be split into two movies, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, if the rumor I heard is correct, and they're going to do book 1 and book 2 as the first movie, then just book 3 as the second movie. I mean, that's like a lot of stuff they're going to have to cover in the second. I mean, it's a lot of stuff to cover in the first half, and then not a lot to cover in the second half.
Right.
So.
Yes, but it's cool, and I'm excited that I just don't remember how this this book wraps up so quickly. I mean, we are rapidly getting to the end of this, so but yeah, so next chapter we'll get into Paul and his thing with Stilgar, and then after that, Paul's going to meet up with an old friend.
Thufir? Shattered Mapes?
No, it can't be Shattered Mapes.
His dad?
Hey guys, it's Shattered Mapes.
Shattered Mapes back. I was just kidding about dying. I was just kidding about dying. What about Dr. Yue? Is Dr. Yue coming back? No?
But, yeah. So
Dr. Yue needs to come give Paul some more sedatives. He's been having too many crack dreams.
You've been having crack dreams, Paul? Let me give you a sedative and give you a nice massage.
I mean, we haven't heard about any sedatives since, like, the first book.
No, it's all spice.
It's been a long time.
Falls off the spice.
It's been a long time since we've had anyone sedated.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. Well, if you have different ideas, thoughts, or observations about these chapters, please hit us up. Email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. You can also comment on our episodes at our Facebook group page, Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. We'd love to hear from you there. Or you can tweet at us as well at Synthaholics Duel is our Twitter handle. And if this show is something you want to support, please go to our Patreon.com/Synthaholics. That's a nice way to support the show. All right, Dave, until next week, more Dune.
More Dune. Let's get some spice ice cream and some spice lattes and all the spice. Need to upgrade the coffee to lattes.
All right, well, until next week, guys, let the spice flow.
All over everything, baby.
Million miles aside of Mars. Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink, and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend